Good afternoon, everybody. It's 11:15, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating this session. As always, if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area, and we'll be sure to get to it during the show. USDA report out about 15 minutes ago. Just a couple of highlights, and then we'll kick it over to the guys here. For corn, 183.6. That's up 0.5 from the August report. 53.2 for soybeans. That's unchanged. On the carryout side, 24.25, 2.057 for corn. That's slightly lower than their August number. Soybeans 550, which was 10 lower than August, and wheat was 828, which was unchanged. Justin, maybe a few initial thoughts as you looked at the report, and then we'll throw it around the room here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything too shocking in here. I mean, guesses came in lower for yield. So we had initial sell-off. Corn was down 7, then we traded up 2. We're back down 4 on the day. The balance sheet really didn't change much. Carry-ins came down 50 million in corn, and new crop production went up 40. So you had some slight drawdowns. Nothing too shocking. Honestly, look at state by states. Don't really agree with some of the state by state numbers, but they lowered Illinois, raised Indiana, raised Iowa. So just kind of some trade-offs of where they raised and lowered yields, but the net result was pretty muted. I think from what we're seeing anecdotal reports, I think Illinois has obviously been really, really good so far. And we are just starting to get into harvest. So I think the market brush it off pretty quick. We'll see. I think now it's just going to depend on what actual yields come in at. I wasn't expecting a ton for this report just because we don't have a lot of objective yield data yet. So I kind of think it's a nothing report personally.
Sure. I mean, I guess the one thing we talked about a little bit, I mean, an unchanged bean yield, I mean, is that a sign that perhaps we printed that top end?
I don't know if I wouldn't say that necessarily. I just don't think they have a clue, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at it, it's just kind of playing. I mean, they're just moving numbers around, this date up, that I think to justify a job. I don't think, honestly, even the changes that they make doesn't really make sense to me. If anything, I think you would be lowering areas that have been super dry, like Indiana, Ohio, raising areas like Illinois that did get rains. So yeah, I think we'll know a lot more in the next report, like you always do, right? We're actually getting harvest. They'll have actual objective yield data. More importantly, we'll be hearing from our clientele and having some reliable yield data. So
sure. Dustin, maybe a few thoughts here before we wrap, just from your desk.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing we saw here. Like, just kind of getting the specifics. In the last report, they took Illinois all the way up to 225, which was, a huge number, way about smashing the previous all-time record. And so for them to take it back down to 222 on this report, but at the same time raise Iowa from 209 to 212, and then raise Indiana from 207 to 210 just makes no sense. So it's like, it does feel like they're kind of shuffling numbers around, just to kind of echo what Justin was saying. That some of the things that we're seeing are kind of surprising. Like, corn spreads are still hanging in there pretty good despite this. You're talking about record yields still in Iowa and Illinois, and a big drop in flat price, but they're somehow at one point after the report, DH25 is finding a lower print on the day from this number, and DH24 is higher. Is there something else going on in the background there? I think it's just it's something we need to get past, and we'll get more actual yield data when we get in the field.
I think, Dustin, to this point, I mean, we were talking about this before the show, but the mentality out there is bearish at the farm gate. I think farmers are selling new crop corn. I think trying to justify that, hey, we're at 380 right now in September corn. Next year's at 440 something. I should be selling that. I think we're wearing down the farmer. I think the banking environment's getting really, really tricky. We hear more and more reports of farmers struggling to get new crop loans. Cost structures are really sticky. So I think we're forcing farmers selling, especially a new crop. I think they're trying to go into the lender with like, look, I'm doing marketing, I'm selling stuff. Even if it's below cost of production, we'll figure that out later. So not dissimilar to the last time we were in this kind of environment, 2020, where, hey, that looks like a good price now because the nearby is cheaper. So I think that's the kind of mentality that's going on there. I think they know the yields are big this year. They're hearing it, they're seeing it. So that must be bearish. And I think that's right or wrong. I think that's what's happening right now.
It's a really good point. I think, Nick from out east kind of shares your sentiment, Justin. Whose report is it? Where everything's made up doesn't matter anymore. It's I guess we could maybe just have a couple of reports a year and do away with the monotonous. But
yeah, look, I do think at the end of the day they have the most data points, meaning the USDA. When it's all said and done, it will be the most reliable data. Once you actually get harvested results, call it October report, January report, but by then the markets are typically kind of figured out that, right? They figured out where actual production is. There's enough data out there now, harvest data, that we're all going to know if we're in the range, right? So that's why we make lows before the government tells us, or highs before the government tells us what the yields are.
Yep, kind of a necessary evil, right? It's what
we're
dealing with.
It is, and I think that's just this time of year you're going to get the reports, and I think we're probably in the zone. I think beans. I'm interested in beans and corn. I mean, we have been getting good corn reports in Illinois, which they're supposed to be. The Dustin's point, we're currently forecasting 8 bushels over a record. I think what we've heard justifies that so far. It's very early. I am curious, states like Indiana, they've got Indiana 7 bushels above a record. They've got Iowa 8 bushels above a record. So they're actually more above a record than Illinois. And to me, that's a big question mark. Maybe it ends up being the case, but there's been a lot of dryness, a lot of things in certain areas of those states. So we'll see.
Yeah, just anecdotally, right, non-scientifically, I would take the bet that Illinois would be over this print and Indiana would be under this print. Just based on what we're seeing right now. It's
right.
Just if you had to take a guess of what's going to happen, it's completely speculative, but that's my opinion.
Nick's taking that action. He's taking that action.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, and I think too, Indiana is going to be good. Is it going to be 7 bushels over a record? I think that's the question. So, yeah, I think we're going to have a good crop. We're going to have good bean and corn crops. I think the question market-wise is, have we traded those numbers or trend, and which way are we trending, right? So.
Very good, guys. Anything to wrap, or are we good here? All good? Okay. Let's get a quick rundown of the markets here. December corn's down $4.03 is the last. November soybeans are up 3, 10.03.5, and December Chicago wheat's down a penny at 5.78.5 is the last. We appreciate everybody that tunes in on a daily basis. If you would, please throw us a like or subscribe. We certainly appreciate it. It does a lot for us. And like I said, we really have fun doing the show, and we hope everybody else enjoys it as well. Every day that the markets are open, we're streaming live on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Standard Time. Nick got me there. 8:15 Standard Time. Yes, it's going to be the biggest ever. We got to get this show to the road here. Nick's going nuts here. Appreciate everybody. We're going to have Fun Fact Friday tomorrow morning. Hope everybody tunes in. Look forward to talking to you. Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.